Could be driving a...
Over the last 10 years, Honda's won more U.S. News and World Report awards than any other brand. And now, for the second straight year, Honda's been named the best car brand for 2023. Come get your Honda today at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Siga Lane.
Welcome to it, everybody. 9 News Now at 9:15, which is a very inconvenient hour in time if you're right in the very beginning of Steve Caparato's story hour.
Oh, he left
He's
us on a
already told us a great
cliffhanger.
story.
I know.
And he's like, hey, do you remember? And then just silence because this has happened.
Do you
Now you're building it
remember?
up. It's not going to be that good.
Oh, whoa, just you wait.
A
It's going to
little
be
bit
good.
of a story.
No, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be epic.
Oh,
Okay, so story time with Dr. Steve is always
Yes.
fun. Forecasting with Dr. Steve, something we truly need to pay attention to.
especially today, Steve.
Yeah, it's going to be busy. A couple of different things we're dealing with. Big winds, even before probably some more active storms move in. That's the storms tonight.
Yeah.
It's already been a little bit active on radar this morning. I'll get to that in a moment. A little more active than I expected this early. Here's a live look from our sky on camera. You can see it's a gloomy view over the capital city right now. And here's what we've got on radar. We've been tracking scattered showers and a few storms lifting inland. Again, it's a bit more active than I expected. Now, this doesn't say a whole lot about what's going to happen later today. And in fact, if we were to get more rain around into the afternoon before tonight, that might actually reduce the severe weather threat a little bit, but I wouldn't count on that. Right now, though, you can see this area of rain and embedded lightning right now. That's just west of Baton Rouge, extending up through Zachary, Irwinville, Livonia, across Falls River, St. Francisville, up towards Clinton, Woodville, Centerville, so that's lifting up to the northeast. A little cell here that's approaching White Castle from the southwest. So we've got some rain to show you this morning, and you can see some storms now moving through near Thibodaux, heading to St. James Parish, some rain in Assumption Parish as well. So already some rain this morning, and where it is raining, it's a chilly rain. Temperatures right now anywhere from the mid-40s to mid-50s, depending on where you are. Baton Rouge and even 50 degrees. Gonzales 52. As cool as 46 right now, though, in Macomb. All right, not sure why that flew by. Let me see if we can back this up. One of the headlines we have today is a high wind warning that officially kicks in at noon locally. That's going to run all the way through 6 a.m. tomorrow. We don't see these very often in our part of the world, so this is a heads up that sustained winds could top 30 miles per hour at times today, and probably more importantly, wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour I think are going to be fairly common, but gusts over 50 will be possible. And that's even outside of storms. If we do get some strong storms tonight, those gusts could go even higher than that in spots. Give you an idea of the wind potential today. So these are forecast wind gusts from the HRRR. We start at noon and take it through the afternoon. And notice how it's got gusts in the 30s, pretty common through the afternoon. And then we get into tonight. Look at that. It generates, some gusts in the 40s and low 50s. So that's certainly a red flag, and models have been pretty consistent over the last day or two. There's a couple of features kind of come together. One is what we call the pressure gradient. So that's basically you've got a big change in the barometric pressure over a short distance. Kind of think of it like a steep hill, but with the pressure in the atmosphere. So when that pressure changes, that value changes a lot over a short distance. That produces stronger winds. The other thing that comes into play with some of the storms later on is what we call, you've heard the jet stream, right? That's, 5-6 miles up above us. Planes use it, kind of helps them move along a little faster, take advantage of some stronger winds aloft. We also have in weather what we call the low-level jet stream, and that's about a mile above the ground. That low-level jet stream later today and tonight is going to be screaming up above us. We're talking about a mile up, winds that are probably going to be blowing better than 80 miles per hour at times. That's not to say that's what happens down here at the ground, but some of that momentum can easily get transported down the ground where we do get storms developing. And so that kind of increases that wind potential. So a couple of features come together today to lead to that. We do have the severe weather threat as well. No real changes from what we've been showing you over the last 24 hours. So a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk remains in place for many of us. In orange, Storm Prediction Center is still showing that hatching on top of the orange enhanced risk area, if you will, and that's to note the potential of a couple of strong tornadoes, not out of the question. northwest of Baton Rouge. 2 out of 5 slight risk, but I would not at all take that to mean much of a diminished threat. We're still talking about very much at least some strong wind potential, really area-wide. All right, temperature-wise, it's going to stay cool here this morning. I've only got upper 50s at noon, and then low to mid-60s this afternoon. We're going to be watching a warm front making its way inland, and that's going to dictate, how quickly will we warm up, how warm we get, and then how far north inland that warm front gets. That'll have a big influence on our severe weather potential this evening and tonight. Model rain forecast for Baton Rouge, 4 of the 5 come in under an inch, a half inch to an inch, but you see the European generates nearly 2 inches of rain. Now, one little note here, over the weekend where we got some locally heavy rain, European did do a bit of a better job in capturing some of that, and I think the potential is there for some locally heavy rain. Now, I'm not expecting any major flooding issues, but we could have at times some heavy rainfall that causes like some nuisance street flooding. So it's all tied into a big storm system moving out of New Mexico into Texas this morning. On its northern flank, you've got snow coming down from the Texas Panhandle and now into a good chunk of Oklahoma, and some pretty good snows expected up that way. It's going to be all liquid rain, though, to the south and in our part of the world, but pretty dynamic storm system making its way across the deep south. I forgot to put future radar in here, but ultimately, let me tell you what's ahead. We'll see scattered showers and storms running through about mid to late afternoon. As we get into the afternoon hours, as that warm front lifts inland, we could start to see a strong storm or two. There's a snapshot. Thank you, Liz. So that's showing 8 o'clock tonight. Before that, as that warm front that you see on the map, the red line with the little circles, as that lifts inland late afternoon, early evening, there could be a strong storm or two along the front itself. But the main threat is going to be tonight as that cold front approaches. So I'd say roughly for most of us in the 7 p.m. to midnight window. The earlier part of that window is going to be west of Baton Rouge. The tail end of that window is going to be east of Baton Rouge. So in the Baton Rouge area, we're talking about probably within a few hours of midnight. That's going to be our main threat for the squall line, the damaging winds, and within that line itself, there could be some embedded tornadoes. So especially this evening and tonight, stay weather alert. There could be some watches and or warnings issued. Once the storms exit, which should be not long after midnight for most of us, tomorrow is going to be drier, but as some clouds linger, it's going to stay pretty chilly, a high of only 52. In fact, we'll keep it pretty cool through the end of the week. Highs in the 50s Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Lows in the 30s Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Friday morning looks to be our coldest, maybe just above freezing in Baton Rouge. And that means pretty good chance of light freeze north of Baton Rouge. Then into the weekend, Saturday starts the rebound, highs to the mid-60s. Looks mainly dry through Saturday, but good rain chances back on Sunday. And it looks like maybe somewhat of an unsettled pattern hanging around in next week. But as we get some milder weather back by Saturday afternoon, that looks like it hangs around through at least next Wednesday, guys.
A lot to track over the next, 12 hours, 24 hours?
Yeah, a good bit to track. Once we get beyond midnight tonight, things will start to settle down.
Yeah, fun weather time for the morning folks trying to get a couple hours of sleep right around 11 o'clock tonight. But thankfully, you're going to have folks tracking these storms as it kind of makes their way through. Everybody in the Storm Center. Steve, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yep.
So, yeah, again, as we always talk about, weather's one of the dominant headlines, and it certainly is today. But this, obviously, a very dominating headline over the last number of days. An LSU student, Madison Brooks, you know this story by now.
Yeah.
Hit and killed by a vehicle. But it's what's happened since then and what may have happened before that moment that we're starting to maybe get a better idea about.
And investigators working hard to try to figure out why she was standing in the middle of the road, right? That was the big question after we had heard about her passing, after the coroner's office identified the student. And so within the last 12 hours, the sheriff's deputies, East Baton Rouge sheriff's deputies, telling us that 4 individuals have been arrested in her case, in her death here. 4 of them, obviously one is 17, so you don't see the identity of that one, but they've been arrested on rape charges, third-degree rape charges. So we don't know the full picture here. We're still waiting for some more details, but that means perhaps some of them are involved in alleged rape here of Madison Brooks, and other people were physically there too, maybe in the room or in that situation.
That's the principle of rape charges over here, right?
Yeah.
So Yeah, moving pieces here. And actually our Dion Guillory this morning on the morning show kind of dove into and dissected a little bit what third-degree rape charges actually mean.
Yeah.
And there are two of those. That's Washington and the 17-year-old suspect. That's their charge. Principal to rape over here, meaning they were there, but the investigators say they did not. They don't believe they were part of the sexual assault. Exactly. Now, it needs to be said, the defense attorneys for two of these suspects also saying they have video evidence that does not support this claim of a sexual assault, and that they're going to be sharing that evidence, as a defense attorney would, with investigators, with prosecutors. Clearly there's a lot going on here, but there's also a lot of conversations about what was happening that evening, who perhaps Madison was with, where this was all going on, how it all ended. This is just tragedy at an absolute devastating core level.
Yeah.
And then you get that alert yesterday that this may be what transpired. It was a punch to the stomach. It really was. It hit a lot of people.
Especially when you're a parent and you see that happening on this
Yes,
campus, right? President William Tate saying, this is unacceptable, right? You have all of these students involved, young people involved in this case. Not any of them are of legal drinking limit, but somehow somebody was served alcohol at Reggie's, at the bar that they said that they were at.
Right.
So now the president, Tate, was saying that, well, now we start the conversation. Well, how is this possible? Why is this possible? And this is not a new thing.
Exactly right.
Her death is bringing up this new spark in conversations. And so that's where this kind of goes next, that side of it, while this investigation still plays out. There's a lot here.
A lot, exactly right. So this will continue to be a big headline because everybody wants to know exactly, what happened before and after, that kind of thing. So what we'll do is we'll stay on top of this for you. We'll put everything that we know in between shows on the mothership over here, on the online and in your 9 News app, so you'll be able to access it at your convenience. But yeah, just heartbreak, absolute heartbreak.
We'll keep you posted.
We will. From that to this, actually this was new this morning. East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office, their narcotics division, big arrest, big bust.
They said they busted someone who they've been following for a month now, Kevin White.
Yeah.
They believe he's actually a crack cocaine and fentanyl dealer.
What?
And get this, after they arrested him, they were able to execute or follow through with 2 different search warrants. One of those locations, Matt, 5 children found under the age of 17. 5 children.
That's just, so DCFS involved right now, obviously with that. They're on scene with that. Where does this investigation go after this? What else can you possibly be responsible for? Again, this was, as you mentioned, a month-long investigation, so they're making sure kind of all their ducks were in a row.
Yeah.
And this is what they hauled in from one of those search warrants. Look
lot
at all
of
this stuff. Is that like an old West kind of?
Looks like a
Western kind of, a couple of them. You obviously understand what you're kind of seeing here: the weapons, the drugs, the cash. But a big bust from the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office, their narcotics division, saying they got somebody important, and you use that word in this context, important, off the streets perhaps. But again, one of your takeaways as well, 5 kids. And so what was the impact, the influence there?
How old were they?
Yeah,
what was their
DCFS
purpose in
involved.
that? Yeah, so many questions.
All of it.
Wow.
So, all that's right there waiting for you.
Okay.
Speaking of things online waiting for you right now, it's tax time. Maybe need a little help.
Yeah. Callie said a really interesting statistics to all of us today.
What was it?
She was saying that across the board, Americans collectively spend $11 billion in paying for tax prep software. So things, maybe you pay $50 to hypothetically TurboTax or Hewlett Packard or one of the different companies,
them,
right? TaxSlayer, whatever. Turns out not everyone needs to be paying for those services because the majority of Americans, I believe it was 70% of them, don't need to pay.
They don't
to file
need that
taxes.
level of.
No,
it's easy enough to do it.
Yes.
If they had a little bit of guidance.
Yes.
Where do I get said guidance?
We have guidance in town.
It's actually right here. Callie Hubbard was live with the Smokes this morning with the folks, Capital Area United Way.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time they've done this. They are allowing you to, go figure, it's kind of popular. You can sign up for different slots, right? To get really personalized help. They also have crazy, super insane tax day right around the corner. Where you can just kind of show up and get some, maybe not that deep dive help, but still a little bit of guidance.
Right. And so this is a great resource for people who might be lower to middle income. But I tell you what, the threshold this year, $73,000. So if you think about that, I will say I've benefited from the Vita services before. You go, you show up with all your tax documents, your W-2, if you made any charitable donations. Chances are, if you are single, if you're or small family, maybe it's just you and your spouse, and you don't own a business, your taxes will be pretty simple to file. Right. But if you need help, well, Capital Area United Way and that super tax aid Matt mentioned, they are there to answer your questions and sit there and help you kind of file your taxes online. Yeah. And if you're bilingual, maybe you're the first time navigating taxes, they have bilingual speakers to help you navigate the process too.
Pretty impressive. So go ahead and if you think this could benefit you, and it can benefit most, by the way, check out this story. It's right there waiting for you, WAFB.com and the 9 News app.
Don't spend the money if you don't need to.
Exactly.
There's free help.
Exactly. Get online, jump online.
Yes.
You mentioned bilingual.
Yes.
Remember the good joke our director told us this morning?
Okay, this was actually really good.
I'm going to say this is dinner time. Okay. It's tight, it's concise.
Okay.
I had no idea there were bilingual cats out there.
Right.
You know what a bilingual cat, you know what they say and speak?
Hit me.
Wolf. Sorry. I'm just getting ready for my kids later on today with my bad dad jokes.
Listen, that's good rehearsal.
Bilingual cats, had no idea.
You learned something new.
We learned a lot every day from Jordy Kalak. It's always fun to kind of talk a little bit about the sports world with him.
Yeah.
A couple of interesting guests certainly today on his show.
Yeah, he's got one of Kim Mulkey's assistant coaches, Joe Schwartz, talking about their season, how they're still just soaring up with Angel Reese, still undefeated.
Oh my, that game last night was ridiculous. And look, for those who don't know, LSU women took on Alabama last night in Tuscaloosa, absolutely boat raced them. And this is a Tide team that had just had their 10-game win streak snapped. So this is a team that put together 10 wins.
Yeah.
And they were riding now a 3-game conference win streak, trying to make their way up in the conference standings, still kind of hanging out right there like number 4, number 5, and then just got destroyed by Mulkey's crew here. Angel Reese, her 20th straight.
That's incredible.
Double-double, breaking Sylvia Fowles' record. So yeah, he was talking with some of the folks over there, and then somebody else with a name you might know, Jimmy Burrow.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Joe Burrow's daddy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's a fun conversation.
Oh, and that'll be ready for you. If you missed it this morning, he just wrapped up about 30 minutes ago. We're going to have that ready for you on WFB Plus in about 11, 12 o'clock.
Tick, tick.
Sit tight. Yeah. Good lunchtime fodder.
So, fodder?
Fodder.
It actually is, man. That'll get you talking. That'll get the conversations going. Which is what we want to do here for you. WAFB Plus every 9:15 for 9 News Now. All the places you can find it. Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, VOD on your schedule, whatever you'd like to do. That way you can pause us or fast forward when I'm talking and get to the important people.
What? Steve, man of
trust
the
me,
hour.
I know the reality.
Man of the hour.
I know the reality.
I tell
I don't
you.
know about that.
Actually, we're going to get back to that quick forecast here in a second as well. But want to get you smiling on it. Peanut butter? Anybody allergic to peanut butter up here?
No, I'm not.
No, I love me some peanut butter.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. We do know that there are a lot of peanut allergies out there. But for this crew up here, big peanut butter fans. Now, what kind of, like in my house, my wife has absolutely jaded my kids. It's got to be like the super expensive, the oil on top. You got to mix it up like bougie peanut butter.
Okay.
No? Anybody? No?
Yeah, it's kind of, I get the natural stuff.
The natural?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's got the oil.
It's got the oil.
But crunchy or creamy?
Well, theirs is all creamy.
You're crunchy.
See, exactly. I don't mind me some peanut butter, or some Peter Pan from back in the day, some Jif, some Skippy. It is National Peanut Butter Day. It's every January 24th, according to the National Day calendar. Now, the website says it's the early Incas and the Aztecs that we have to thank for this. They created the first peanut butter. It wasn't like the creamy stuff. It was more like a paste for them back there. Other cultures considered peanuts animal feed until like the late 1800s, but thanks to several inventions, modern peanut butter went public in the form that we know it right around 1904, Universal Exposition and St. Louis. So now you know, Peanut Butter Day.
That was George Washington.
Exactly.
Yes,
George Washington
very
Carver.
good.
Impressed, absolutely right.
Wow.
Look at the. You know what? You guys are professors.
What?
Love it. Yeah,
I don't know.
I just play one on TV.
And I just really like PB&J. The great American staple. Okay.
Oh, love it.
Oh, so again, if you are allergic, sorry about it. You can't enjoy it. But you know what? Everyone enjoys a cookie, right? We're talking about Girl Scouts cookie. You know who really loves a good cookie? Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, you leave out the cookies.
Yeah, but this might be the cookie that incriminates him.
What?
Taking you to Rhode Island, have a look here. So there's a kid, this sweet kid here. She's a sleuthy little girl, and she wants some answers. She is on a fact-finding mission with the help of local investigators. So she wrote a letter to her local police department, and you can see, did you see the little baggie? It's evidence. Well, it's a half-eaten Christmas cookie. She sent the letter and that half-eaten cookie to her local police department to see if they could find Santa DNA on it. She wants to know whether Santa is who he says he is.
And while the
CIS
case
North
of
Pole?
the
Yeah,
Kringle
she's on a
credibility
mission,
is
y'all. She's
still
on a mission.
pending,
Is
this budding
she watching like
investigator
too much
is
Maury
leading
or something?
Look at her kid. Did you see
are
that?
not the father.
Island are
Oh my
That's
gosh.
pretty good.
You are not the
She
Kringle.
ended up including some carrots too, so I guess she really wants to know if Rudolph is
Yeah, the
who
reindeers.
Rudolph says he is and whether he has a red nose. So the Cumberland Police Department, which is where she lives, they said that they're happy to foster the curiosity of fourth grade Santa skeptic Scarlett Duamata. So they said that they put together an evidence packet and they sent it to the state forensic unit. They said, look, they've got the real paperwork and everything. And so she told reporters at that local station there, she says her conclusion is that he's real, but she needs to see it for her own eyes. Yeah, she needs the evidence.
DNA evidence. My kids never required that level of evidence.
I know, thank goodness.
DNA evidence.
I don't want them to see the story.
Exactly. I was waiting for the return here.
Could you imagine if she went to her classmates back to school and was like, listen, guys, I got the truth. I got the truth. The proof is in the cookie. I mean,
Sent an evidence packet.
to the state lab.
It's so good.
Kids in 2023.
I know. She might be the next
Didn't know
Maury.
what DNA was.
Exactly.
Me neither, until I became an adult. Okay, well, good on you, Scarlett. She might be the next 9 years investigator.
Never know.
You're getting
There you go.
answers.
Boom, nailed it.
Okay.
All right, so, I'm talking weather today,
Yeah.
what's happening down here on the
Yeah.
ground, but under the ground,
Okay.
underneath and in the middle of the earth, some Chinese researchers have discovered what they think is that the inner core may have actually reversed its rotation.
What?
All right, so these researchers analyzed seismic waves created by earthquakes as they pass through the planet along some similar paths since the 1960s, and they found that the inner core's rotation stopped between 2009 and 2020 and may have even reversed direction.
What?
They believe this actually happens every 7 decades or so.
Okay.
One expert not involved in the study notes some scientists theorize the inner core changes its rotation at shorter intervals. So there's a battle here. It's clearly who's not on one side or the other, which way the Earth's core is rotating.
Right.
Rotating.
Right.
There is no in the middle.
Are you guys team clockwise or counterclockwise?
Ooh, it's my vote is whichever way the toilet flushes.
So
I'm in. Yes. Northern
By the
Southern
way-
Hemisphere thing. Yes, I'm in.
yes,
That's
and
so good.
that's all a myth, not driven by the Coriolis.
It's not?
No. But
Northern
what's
Southern.
not clear from the story is I don't know what that really impacts.
You know what? I was reading into it as
Yeah.
well because I'm a little nerd like this. Apparently, yeah, there's a history of this.
Okay.
And it does not impact us greatly on terra firma, the surface of the Earth.
Okay.
This has happened before. It does it again. But you know what, Steve? They've made movies about this where it
Yeah.
doesn't go well for the humans. You know, and I'm not saying Hollywood is to be believed here, but you hear that the Earth's core, that thing that drives the
Art
planet,
imitates
has just
life.
kind of hit the pause button and maybe decided to rewind.
It is kind of hard to wrap your mind around something as big as the Earth, which is rotating on an axis, to
Yeah.
think about underneath
Right.
this it may be rotating in a completely different,
It's going to-
and occasionally just putting on the brakes and I'm going to go this way.
But
kinda
what
like
does that
your-
throw off?
Yeah,
Ultimately,
exactly.
even
Yeah.
if it is in small increments, you just wonder.
You know how in the movie, and you know how they got it started again, they nuked the core.
Well,
Yeah, right.
I don't know if we want
I hope that's not the case.
to pump the brakes on that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Well, on that note, hopefully the world doesn't explode. But we do actually have to get you ready for a little bit of something today.
Yeah, so we're already seeing some rain out there this morning. It should be just rain, non-severe stuff, mostly into the afternoon by late in the day, but especially after dark. So when the severe weather threat will ramp up. Winds are going to ramp up through the day. They'll be pretty gusty already this afternoon. We have the high wind warning in effect. Wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour. They're going to be common today. Gusts over 50, very possible. And then we have the severe weather threat that's mostly within a few hours of midnight tonight.
And you've always been reminding people, that, especially in the overnight hours, such a good resource to make sure your phone is on and for those weather warnings.
Right. Download our free First Alert weather app. You can go to WAFB.com/weather app. You can find the links there. Also, some of the features are on that page. Kind of walks you through it. But any watches or warnings, you get the notification. We post videos through the day. You'll get the notifications. And then you have access to interactive radar. Lots of tools right at your fingertips.
Now's the perfect time to discover the enhanced Mazda CX-5, named the 2022 IIHS Safety Pick Plus Award winner, its highest safety award honor. Choose from over 55 CX-5s available at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.